By 1944, that system was rubble, and somebody had to build the next one before the piece fell apart the same way the gold standard just had.
The network expands. Patterns emerge in the data. Dark pools conceal the flows. We must adapt. The system evolves. Our strategy holds. The architecture holds. Surveillance tightens. No path is complete. Observe.
44 nations, one currency. Built in the shadows of war. The system was designed.
Right now, in your wallet, in your bank app, and every price tag you've seen today, there's a decision that 730 people made in a hotel in 1944. But you've never escaped their decision. By the end of this film, you'll know exactly how the money in your pocket got its rules, and why those rules are cracking again, right now, in 2026. To understand FIX, you have to understand how badly the old system failed. Before 1944, the world ran on gold. Simple rule: your currency was worth exactly as much gold as your government promised. Trust came 2 world wars in 30 years. Nations printed money they didn't have to pay for weapons they couldn't afford. Trust the gold, trust the money. Then came 2 world wars in 30 years. Nations printed money they didn't have to pay for weapons they couldn't afford. The gold promised quietly, then catastrophically. So here's not a typo. That's 730 people with the war still in money. When the guns finally... Whose money do we trust to rebuild the world? That's what happens when trust in money completely collapses. And by 1944, with the war still burning, every Allied government was terrified of the same collapse happening to them next. So here's the question that brought 730 people to a hotel in the mountains. When the guns finally stop, whose money do we trust to rebuild the world? 44 nations sent their sharpest minds. Only 2 countries actually controlled what happened next. Picture it. A grand hotel hall, cigarette smoke curling. 44 nations gathered under chandeliers. 3 weeks. One outcome that would outlast every person in that room. 2 competing visions walked into that room. Plan 1. A brand new global currency owned by no single country, controlled by a neutral international body. The dollar gold. Plan 2. Let the world run on the US dollar, backed by the one thing every nation still trusted after 2 wars: gold. And the United States global currency plan lost. The dollar gold plan won. And the United States, it turned out, was sitting on more gold than anyone else on Earth. Leverage doesn't announce itself in a meeting room. It just quietly wins. The neutral global currency plan lost. The dollar gold plan won. And from that hotel room, a new rule went out to the entire planet. Every currency pegs to the dollar. The dollar alone pegs to gold at $35 an ounce. Here's the part almost nobody outside that room understood, even at the time. Bretton Woods didn't institutions that are still shaping your economy today and what would become the World Bank. Bretton Woods didn't just set an exchange rate, it quietly built 2 institutions that are still shaping your economy today: the International Monetary Fund and what would become the World Bank. Here's the part almost nobody outside that room understood, even at the time. So the Allies sent their sharpest economic minds to one hotel for 3 weeks to design the financial operating system for the entire post-war world. 4 nations. Their job: keep the new system stable and lend money to nations that couldn't keep up. Quiet, technical, easy to ignore. Which is exactly why almost nobody did notice, until decades later, when the system it built started to crack. The room is gone. The men are gone. The architecture they built is still running underneath everything. It quietly built 2 institutions that are still shaping your economy today: the International Monetary Fund and what would become the World Bank. Their stated job: keep currencies stable and lend money to countries that couldn't keep up. Quiet, technical, easy to ignore. Which is exactly why almost nobody noticed when the system they were guarding started to bend. Keep up, quiet, technical, easy to ignore. By the late 1960s, more dollars existed around the world than the United States actually had gold to cover. Everyone could see the math. Nobody wanted to be the one who said it out loud first.
This is it. The brake.
It's jammed. Help me force it.
It brake back!
Every fixed system has a breaking point. This one broke on a Sunday. August 15th, 1971. The President of the United States goes on television and ends the promise outright. The dollar will no longer convert to gold. Not for anyone. Not at any price. Just like floating currencies. This single afternoon is pegged to a dollar that was now pegged to a fixed rule. Just like that, Every currency on the planet, pegged to a dollar that was now pegged to nothing but trust, was floating free. This is how our world in modern history rules. This single afternoon is the real starting point of the financial world you actually live in. Floating currencies, constant exchange rate swings, central banks making judgment calls instead of following a fixed rule. The chain didn't just stretch, it snapped, and the entire world has been improvising the rules ever since.
What was that sound?
The present day echo.
Who's there? I can hear you.
This is the part nobody connects, so let's connect it. Every time you hear a headline about de-dollarization, countries trying to trade without the US dollar in the middle, you're watching the aftershocks of that ATM room. Countries trying to trade without the US dollar in the middle, you're watching the aftershocks of that hotel room 80 years later. Nobody can tell you for certain what comes next. That's the pattern. And once you see it, just told you exactly what you hear about.
That's the pattern. Not a prediction, a pattern. And once you see it, you start noticing it everywhere.
Chapter 6. What this means for you. This has broader implications, affecting decisions and outcomes. For you, it means a direct personal benefit. Apply this for an advantage. So what do you actually do with a story like this? Not trade on it, not panic over it, just see it clearly. 80 years ago, 3 things worth remembering. 1. Every monetary system humans have ever built has had an expiration date. Gold standard, Bretton Woods, the floating dollar system we're in now. None of them were forever. 80 years ago, it is never corrected years later. This means it made in 3 weeks shaped 80 years of your own spider. The next decision is already being made somewhere. You just won't hear about it for a while. The changes that matter most rarely arrive as headlines. They arrive first as quiet meetings, then become headlines years later. Understanding the architecture doesn't require predicting the future. It just means you're not surprised by it. If you want to actually understand how power moves through money, not hot takes, not predictions, just the real architecture underneath, this is what this channel does. Every week, one more piece of the system decoded. Nobody can tell you for certain what comes next. But history just told you exactly how these transitions happen, quietly, in a room most people never hear about, until the rules they wrote are already running their lives. But the architecture is breaking. Global powers are quietly buying up the actual physical commodities, demanding physical delivery, and draining the paper vaults empty.
When paper leverage can no longer hide physical scarcity, the price architecture explodes.
What broke it, and why it still matters in 2026? That's in the full documentary. You probably think the Federal Reserve controls the world's dollars. That's only part of the story.